I wasn't even going to film that video. I was going to wait to put on the right clothes. But I walked downstairs. I heard the song in my head. And I said, I'm going to film the video today. And I set the camera on the chair. I did the dance. I posted the video. It went viral instantly. And that's God's work.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to this week's edition of the Stay Human podcast. I am super excited for this week's guest. And this show is presented today by Packed Clothing, an incredible brand that brings you the most sustainable and organic, from the seed all the way to when it hits your body, the most beautiful apparel that you're going to get, because it is done in the best way possible. So check them out at wearpact.com, wearpact.com. Our guest viral hit Git Up, which was certified 11 times platinum across 3 countries, took the world by storm, claiming the top spot in charts across the globe and gaining nearly 4 billion views across social platforms. It claimed the #1 spot on the Billboard Hot Country Songs chart for 12 weeks and was the top-selling digital country song in the US for 13 weeks, resulting in Billboard naming him as their top new country artist for 2019. His multinational platinum certified collaboration, Just the Way with Parmalee, also garnered more than 300 million on-demand streams, earning him his first #1 hit on country radio. Please welcome to the podcast, Blanco Brown. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm blessed. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. What does it feel like to hear all those big numbers? I mean, that's a pretty good start.
Man, to tell you the truth, it still is surreal. When people read out the numbers and stuff, I can't do nothing but sit back and be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's music that touched the world. That's the biggest point and of my purpose. And I just love people with joy.
Let's talk about that a little bit. What is your purpose in music?
To uplift, to bring awareness, happiness. A lot of people don't even know they can possess it because they've lived in a very comfortable space. It ain't until you hear something or feel something that makes you feel outside of yourself that you realize, hey, I could change my circumstances and the way I think about everything when I wake up. And sometimes it takes a song or an album, music, because music is the soundtrack of our life. Without song, nothing is interesting. Try watching a movie without any melody in it. It's going to suck.
Yeah. And tell me about where all this came from. Like, where did you grow up? What was your family like when you were a kid?
I grew up on the west side of Atlanta, Georgia, Bankhead Coast. From there to Washington Road, Exit 1. And in the summertime, I would go to Butler, Georgia, Macon, Griffin, Thompson, Buena Vista, the whole 9. My family from Taylor County. So I went from sitting on generators to sitting on propane tanks and back to generators during the school years. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. One of the first things I learned how to do was duck.
Okay.
Hit the flow.
Yeah.
Hit the flow. Gunshots, ambulance, that was like the alarm clock in the morning. We didn't have phones to set them back then. You knew something was happening when you heard the ambulance going off 6 and 7 in the morning, just about every day. So I would say I grew up in a household where my parents filled me with so much love that I didn't really take in my circumstances. I was in the hood, but in my mind, I was living a good life because I didn't know of another life.
Yeah.
It ain't until we got a little older and start being able to go to other friends' houses and you be like, oh, y'all live like this. Then you realize there was a different tax bracket. But unreasonably, man, I wouldn't change anything about my life and my circumstances.
Do you have brothers and sisters?
Yep, I have 3 brothers, 2 sisters.
And did your what did your parents do?
Oh man, my mother, she worked for the government. And then my dad, at the time, he was driving trucks.
And was music a big part of your household growing up?
Yes, everybody in my family sings, rap, play an instrument or something. Everybody does music. My uncle was signed to LaFace Records.
Okay.
Them his silent partner with Babyface. Name of his group was A Few Good Men.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I grew up around music. I grew up on the tour bus with Tony Braxton, Pebbles, Craig Max. Like those folk were, on tour, and my uncle was on tour with them. So we go on the bus and see him and just go back to school like a normal, regular day. But it was nothing normal about it.
Did that give you aspirations? Did you think like, man, this is something I want to do? Or were there other interests in your life that were also pulling you? Like,
as far as the music, it was just in my blood. It was nowhere around. Becoming an artist, I guess most say that, hey, you were an artist from the get-go. And I tell people, either you become a piece of art or you are art. Mm. And I would like to say that, think that I was born as a rare piece of art that was just waiting to flourish and be heard and seen in vibrant colors with positivity and joy.
Yeah. You described that your parents showed you just so much love, this abundance of love. Can you describe that to me? Like, what did that look like on a daily basis for you to be this really positive and optimistic person who wants to spread that in your life? How did that come about?
Man, church. We ain't missed church. We went to church like 2 days a week. It felt like school. Stayed praying. I remember the first time I got a Bible. Learned how to pray. The do's and the don'ts. What blasphemy means. What to repent means. Those type of things you carry throughout your life if you hold on to them and take heed to them.
Yeah. And as a musician, did you start in the church? Is that your first place of actually like performing or learning music? Or
yeah, I was in the church choir like as a baby. Like it wasn't nowhere around it. I used to sing the tenor parts, but then I was like one of the most versatile because I could also sing the soprano. By the time we got a little bit older, maybe 9, 10 years old, when there weren't enough sopranos, they had me singing soprano or second alto.
Wow. I was up there.
Yeah.
I'm probably a basso profundo.
Yeah.
So when you're singing in the church, do you remember that there was, or it could have been outside church listening to music, do you remember a point in your life where music just touched your soul, where it was just like, wow, this makes me feel something that I can't explain it, but it's brought me to my knees. It's opened up my heart in some way. It's brought me to tears. It's speaking to my existence. Do you remember, was there ever a profound moment for you like that when you just felt like, wow, this is what it's doing to me?
Man, before I found the purpose in it, I felt like I wasn't good enough to be a part of it. So the way I discovered and found myself would be playing back little recordings on my tape recorder as I go to the bus stop, making sure nobody else heard me, because I didn't know if I sound good enough. And I felt like I couldn't sing. Man, I guess those moments also made me who I am now, and the type of light that I like to shed. The things that I wish would have happened for me as a kid, I try to make other kids' dreams come true in those ways. Just meeting me, saying, hey, actually being able to converse with me, being able to inbox me, and me repost that stuff. Just one repost could change somebody's whole life. Mm-hmm. Crazy thing about music and having reach and fans, I call them friends with an R, FRANS, friends. Mm-hmm. Having friends and fans around, you just never know the type of impact you have. And me growing up, had to find that place and that space where I felt like I was good enough. But that didn't come until I was about 22, 23.
Mm. And do you remember a point in your life when someone did that for you? Was there ever a mentor or a teacher or a relative or somebody who stepped in at a point like that for you?
Yeah, I mean, I've had different mentors throughout the years, but like my uncle, my dad, my mom, as I got older, she just would push us to be the best we could be. Me and my brothers, we were in a group. And a mentor outside of my family, from my aunts and my uncles and et cetera, it would be a guy named Jasper Cameron. He's also a successful songwriter, producer. He's done stuff for like Sierra, Lloyd, Chris Brown, some of everybody, man. I can't even, Mario, the list goes on. He actually believed in me so much that he lent me his MIDI controller and his new G4 Apple laptop. Needless to say, I still have those things to this day. But he didn't even want them back. By the time I got done learning, they were out of style. People had to move on.
Yeah.
But I learned on reasons and just went from there.
Yeah. What was your first experience when you said, all right, I've been in, singing in church and I've had this group with my family, but now it's time for me to do me. Like, at what point did that come along for you?
I mean, a few years ago, I was just on a humbug in LA, one of my homies, and we ran into this attorney at our Soho house, and he played him some of the records. And the attorney was like, this is so unique. I got only one person in mind that would probably get it. And he called up this guy by the name of Zach Katz. And Zach Katz was running like BMG office in LA at the time. He told him, I have something so dope, but I can't send it to you because the guy won't send it to me. I wouldn't send it to nobody. Like, nobody had a copy of my stuff because I felt like somebody was going to try to steal it. And that sound happened to be Trailer Trap. I went to the office. I played 10 Whiskey, Georgia Power, Country Time, and a slew of other songs, Trailer Trap records. And he lost his mind. I played like 10, 11 records. They asked me to stay in LA that day. I had a session with Monica back in Atlanta. I used to do all her vocals, vocal producer. She wouldn't do a record without me vocal producer. That's how close we were, and that's how great the songs came out. I had to hit her up, and I said, hey, I may not be able to make it back in time for the session. I think it was that day. And she was just like, okay, so let me know. I'm glad you let me know in advance. Let's reschedule, blah, blah, blah. I stayed in LA over the night, and I went and played in front of the whole Broken Bow label. Rewind. When I went in the office with Zach Katz, John Loba of Broken Bow Records, the president, happened to be there in the office on his way out. And Zach Katz called him and texted him and told him, man, you got to get here now. Like, you got to see this. From that, went to the Hills, played for the whole Broken Bow family, which I have footage of. Nobody has ever seen it with the world. And they offered me a deal. Like 2-3 weeks later, we were done with the deal. And at that moment, I had no Get Up. I didn't have any of that. That was 2018, May, June, July of 2018. 2019, a year later, they were still trying to figure out what to do with me because, they were used to country radio straight down the center.
Yeah.
And here, bringing this disruptive music to the country field, adding 808s and hi-hats. Ironically, you hear nothing but 808s in country music now.
Yeah.
They told me they wouldn't play my songs on the radio because of 808s. I just heard a Dirk Bentley song with 808s. It's jamming.
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, I keep on hearing these things that they told me wasn't gonna be, that has become.
Yeah.
And I'm still fighting for my, my little. But long story short, I know that was a long-winded answer, but your journey has been amazing, and you get here by staying consistent.
Mm-hmm. And so when you put out the video of the home video of the Get Up, what was that? Talk me through that experience.
Man, I just happened to have on some basketball shorts, and I had this country shirt upstairs that my rep from O'Reilly's gave me. He gave me a bag of country western shirts. He was like, I know you do country music. You may be able to use these shirts. I hadn't worn it. I was baseball, football, basketball jersey, or white tees with jewelry, and I looked like I was straight finna go to the trap.
Yeah.
But this guy gave me this bag of country clothes, western clothes. I put on the black shirt while I had on the basketball shorts. And I went and looked in the mirror. I was just like, this right here kind of comfortable. It's a little big, but it's comfortable. But I went back into my little dancing days, and I was just like, this gonna look good flowing. When the wind, when I move, the wind hit on flow. So ironically, man, I wasn't even going to film that video. I was going to wait to put on the right clothes with the shirt. But I walked downstairs, and when I was walking downstairs, I heard the song in my head. And I said, I'm going to film the video today, right now. I don't even care. I got on socks. It'll be fun. It'll have people intrigued. Look at this guy with a basketball shirt with a country shirt on, a hat, and some socks. So I went and pulled up a glass of apple juice, since I don't drink. And I set it on the camera on the chair. I did the dance. And I did the video in 2018. March 2019, I decided to leak the video. And the label was saying, hey, let's get you doing the dance again. If you even thinking about putting it out, let's get you doing the dance again. And I guess they wanted to be more presentable. Like, but to me, that video was so organic. And they wanted to have like a release on it. Like, hey, even though it's just an organic video, let's get you doing it again. And then let's put something else out. April 19th, I posted it to Facebook. I was just like, this is my page, my career. I don't even know what this song gonna do for me, but I'm just having fun. What's harm in just posting a video if you're having fun? Nobody has anything to say about me posting anything else. I'm just dancing to my own song, having fun. There ain't no stipulations to that. I posted the video. It went viral instantly. That's God's work.
Yeah. Hey, Stay Human podcast listeners. One of the things that I love most about this podcast is that I get to talk to people who are out there changing the world every single day. And so naturally, the products I not only love to use myself, but that I also love getting to share with you are out there doing the same thing, making a positive impact on our planet and on humanity. Pact puts their emphasis on putting people and the planet first by sourcing organic cotton, partnering with fair trade factories, and using 81% less water to make their clothes. And the best part? The stuff they're making is comfortable too. It looks cool. You feel great wearing it, and you look good in it too. So join me in supporting a company whose leadership is out there doing their best to stay human by visiting wearpact.com. That's wearpact.com. And use my code, STAYHUMAN, all capital letters, for 20% off your first order. You're going to love it. What was it like for you when you saw those streams just boom, 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 boom? Were you just gone, oh my God, it's just going and going?
Man, I try not to look at the streams or any of that. I felt like I was going to jinx it. So I stayed steady for a little while. And then I I turned around and found out that the song had been going to #1 on iTunes because my friends were watching it harder than me. They were like, "Hey man, you #1." I was like, "Wow," but I didn't know how it really worked. I thought maybe #1 for a few hours, then somebody gonna bump it off. You know how you just keep going back and forth with it. But it stuck. It stuck on iTunes at #1 for so many weeks. Man, that's when I knew it was going up. And then before you know it, it was #1 on Sirius XM. Had radio stations already rocking with it. Then you go to the crazy part. When I signed my deal and I was talking about radio and the label was talking about radio didn't even want to be a part of what I had going on. But after the Get Up came out and it was successful, every radio station wanted me there.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I'm doing these radio shows. I had some radio stations that was already messing with me, but the ones that wasn't rocking with me, they know who they are because you remember exactly how you felt about something before you accepted it because the world did. And I did a radio tour, let's put it like that. I had fun and just building the legacy, man, one chapter at a time.
Yeah. You know, when you started to make music, was the first music that you did R&B, country, both? Was it just a hybrid, your own thing? What was your first music that you started to record?
It was R&B. I was 7 years old. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We were signed to a record label called New Star, NUSTARR. And guy by the name of Anthony Richardson owned it. And he like family now. We sold like 10,000 units out of the back of a Mercedes Benz. Back in the day, didn't even really process. Like as kids, you ain't thinking $100,000 possibly if each record was $10. But no matter what it was, 10,000 units made over 50, 60 grand just out the back of a car.
Mm. And so at what point did you say, hey, I'm going to lean into this idea of country music? You described going from, the urban environment to the country environment as a kid. So were you always listening to country?
Yeah, my auntie was married to this guy that listened to nothing but country music. And he was like the coolest ever. He just passed like last year, rest his heart. But he gave me, and they gave us, beautiful cousins. I got a whole bunch of little mixed cousins running around just out here having fun. And I remember listening to country on the way to Butler, Georgia, and listening to Outkast on the way from Butler, Georgia, making go-karts out of lawnmower motors, creeks, catching crawfish and throwing them back in the water like turtles. Just different worlds. Those things inspired my sound because my sound is essentially country music with 808s. Mm-hmm. I call it trailer trap. It's just trailer park music meets trap. I bridge the gap.
Mm-hmm. I want to ask, I have two more questions for you. The first one is just about your voice. You have one of the most incredible voices that I've ever heard. And it spans from, being able to do, I'm sure I haven't heard you straight up rap, but I know you could. I've heard you do what you do in your, your country style, that kind of vein and in that lower voice. But I've also heard you sing like altissimo, hitting super high notes, and I bet if you wanted to sing opera, you could. You're just one of those. You have one of those voices that could just do anything. Tell me about how you trained yourself. Like, how did you grow as a singer? And then tell me about what else you want to do. Like, is there other things in music that you want to explore other veins of just your using your voice?
Man, the gift is natural. I trained myself. Like I said, I would listen to stuff, mimic it, sing it. And a lot of it came from gospel music, Daryl Coley, Commission. Like I listened to those records. And amongst, Bobby Brown and 112 and Jagged Edge, Silk and Drew Hill. And I would just mimic those records. And then I would turn around and listen to Tim McGraw, Don't Take the Girl, and mimic that record. And then listen to Johnny Cash and mimic those records. That's how you get the tone for Trailer Trap, because that's not my natural tone. Trailer Trap is just this character, this human that I made up that could share both worlds and have a twang with a deep tone. Because naturally I have a twang. I just talk with a twang, period. But I'm saying like like that ain't how I talk. How you doing? Like that ain't my tone. You know what I'm saying? But Trailer Trap, I was just having fun with it. That's why I came up with such a fun record. I trained myself to be able to sound like whatever I want to sound like. I demo records for artists. And when you heard those records, without me having to tell you who the artist, who it was for, you would be able to tell me, hey, that record sounds like it's a Monica record, or that record sounds like it's a Childish Gambino record, or that record sounds like a Fergie record, because I sung with those intentions in my spirit. So I captivated those moments and that essence of the artist, all the way down to Louis Armstrong. Like, you must remember this. Like, I just could do anything.
Yeah. I think that's really great advice for anybody who's coming up, is just to train your voice in that way, listen to other artists and mimic them and do what they do. And you'll find it in you, your own character that comes through that and shines through
Man,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Before we move off this subject, like if you think about it, when you hear Slim from 112, he actually has a whole nother tone also, but he sings like that. And he told me when Diddy heard him sing in that tone, he said, that's it. It's marketing. Michael Jackson sings in a whole nother tone. He talks regular, but the way we hear him talk is a whole nother thing. Prince, if you hear the way he talk and then you hear how he sound, those are the greats. They enable things within themselves to live for the rest of their lives, and for the time that they're not physically here, but spiritually and mentally here. Purposeful. And I just wanted to be able to live outside of myself through song. And I'm steady discovering new tones every day. Yeah.
It's amazing what you do. The last question I have for you is a question I ask everybody who comes on the show, which is, what does it mean to you to stay human? Like, what does it mean to be human? And then how do you hold on to what that means, your humanity?
Man, to be human is to know that life could be taken at any moment. To be human is to know that a new sickness could be right around the corner. So take every day with grace. To be human is to live, love, be angered, but get over it. To be human is to not have anything in your world perfect. I don't care what it is. Ain't nothing perfect. We can get it straight off a press, and that press wasn't perfect. So the things that are enabling or making things to be perfect ain't not even perfect. How do you expect you to be perfect with all your imperfections, but God loving you the way that he do? And he made you. He made us. We are human made, so we must stay human. We can't live outside of that.
Very, very wise words there. Blanco, man, it's great to meet you. And I just love what you do. And I got to say, I'm proud of you, man. I'm proud of you. You're such a trailblazer and going into, like you said, being a disruptor, not trying to disrupt stuff, but just trying to be you, you know, and going into a world that at first really wasn't accepting of who you are and your style, but sticking with it and fighting for your space within that and showing the world that there can be more than one way of doing things, and that there's that humanity, that there's a place for every voice, for every heart, for every emotion, for every human being to be heard. So thank you for doing that. And I know that your music today has inspired so many other artists, you know, like you said, you know, Dirk Bentleys of the world. But not only that, just young artists who are coming up today who are saying, well, wow, I don't have to do what they're saying I got to do. So
yeah, I mean, BRELANDs and everybody, like the Don't Take My Truck, that song was actually pitched to me. And I turned the record down, and then it worked for him. So that's God's grace. It's inspiring so many people. And I'm just glad to be like the founder of a sound that I call Trailer Trap.
Right on. Well, on behalf of Packed Clothing, we want to say thank you so much. I know you're active on social media. Tell me about the next song that you have that's dropping.
Man, it's called I'll Never. It's an amazing record. It's about finding somebody you never want to stop loving. I don't have a release date for it, but depending on when the people hear this podcast, it may be out right now.
All right. Thanks for being on the show today, man, and keep shining bright.
Love.
Peace.